Hello, good night, everyone, and welcome to this month's town hall. We have these every month. It's a new year, and so this year we have another town hall for you. We have a very informative session tonight. We have Kamisha Ellis who's going to speak with us. I'm going to invite Martin Robinson to introduce her.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, so I read a quote that said, if you dare nothing, then when the day is over, nothing is all you will have gained. And that was the first thing that came to mind when our speaker told me that she's a calculated risk taker because all of life is an experiment. In fact, our speaker, who is a UA graduate, studied journalism at Carmack, worked at RJR for a few months, left, then went on to teaching English and literature. Our speaker went to Denby High School, where she was awarded top CSEC performer in non-traditional high school in Jamaica for getting 10 ones. She was also placed top 10 in the Caribbean for Cape Literatures in English. But my wow moment was when she said, I am motivated by the fear of being ordinary. Because, here at the Humanities and Education faculty, we are expressive, and like the speaker, we are outspoken and uncommon because there is no way to portray one way to portray art. So as she comes to us to speak about taking different approaches and finding resolutions and that sort of stuff, I think it's something we all need, especially in this panoramic, pandemic, panini, pinata, or whatever people call it these days. So with no further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Miss Kamisha Ellis.
All right, hi everybody. I'm not going to be getting a response because I think we're streaming on YouTube. That's the case, right? Yeah, that seems to be the case.
You
All
should
right,
be.
good evening, everybody. I'm so excited to see you. It's a pleasure for me to be here this evening to share with you. Thank you for that lovely introduction. And every time I tell people when they ask me what motivates you, and I say the fear of being ordinary, I always get that. But yeah, that is essentially what motivates me. I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't want to be just another person. And I think you all should definitely strive to not be just another person. Ensure that the life that you live is one that is very, very purposeful, is one that you are strategic about the things that you go after, strategic about the people that you allow in your circle, just living a very purposeful and strategic life. And that doesn't mean that you're going to live your life on the straight and narrow. It means that you are going to take full control of everything. Even when things happen that you didn't want to happen, you can still control how you deal with that new situation. All right, so I was told to speak with you guys on the topic taking a different approach, setting resolutions, taking a different approach, making resolutions. Now, every year, January 1st, January 2nd, there is something that many people look forward to saying. They look forward to posting it on social media. And for the rest of us, we look forward to hearing people say this thing. We look forward to seeing them post it, or we expect them to post these things. And that is essentially the cliche saying that goes, New Year, new me. We've heard it all the time. And there's a meme that usually goes around that says, me waiting on the new year, new me crap. And to be honest, it's not really crap because there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting better for yourself. But the real question is, how practical are the things that you want to change? How practical is this evolution that you want to happen in a day? Truth is, change is something that takes time to happen. Change is not something that happens by the snap of a finger. It is something that you have to be very strategic about. And that is essentially what we're going to be talking about this evening. I'm going to be making a number of quotes from this book. If it's possible, I would suggest you get your hand on it. It's called Bank on Self-Investment, a stimulus check for one's self. This book was written by a very good friend of mine, and it is one that I hold very close to my heart because I feel like banking on self is something that's very important. It's very, very important to prioritize you and make sure that in everything you are good. Because if you are not good, you're not going to be able to take care of other people. All right, so let's get into it. When setting goals, when thinking about resolutions, before I even go there, let me just make it clear that resolutions don't necessarily have to be made at the start of the year. And let me just repeat that just in case somebody got distracted just now. Resolutions don't necessarily have to take place at the beginning of the year. You don't have to have your resolutions on January 1. You can start making them in February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, anytime. It is not a January 1 resolution time. Resolutions can be made at any time. Good. The first thing I want to say to you all this evening is don't let fear stop you. That's the first thing. Don't make opportunities pass you by because you're afraid. You're afraid that it may not turn out the way you expect it to. You're afraid that people will say this. You're afraid that people will say that. Or you're afraid, you're just fearful. Don't let fear stop you from taking steps. Don't let fear stop you from going after the things that you've always wanted to go after. The second thing that is very important is plan. And this is perhaps one of the most important things, planning. In planning, this is where you're going to sit and you're going to ask yourself, what is it that I want? You're also going to ask yourself, why do I want this? So you ask yourself the what, you ask yourself the why, and you also need to ask yourself the how. And the how is going to incorporate the tactics that you're going to take. So 2 words we're going to look on for this aspect of our discussion. And those 2 words are goals and tactics. The goals are the big things that you want to do. And your tactics are the small steps that you're going to take to achieve that goal, that big thing. So for example, and since we're all students, because I'm a student as well, I'm doing my master's right now. So this is perhaps a goal of mine as well. So my goal, and perhaps one of yours, is to get higher grades. All right, that's a goal. The tactics now are going to be the things you're going to do to achieve this goal. Writing down the goal is not enough. You need to have your tactics written down also. So you need to say, so not your first thing, goal, you have that in bold, underline, a larger size font, whatever the case may be, and you have your goal written down to get better grades. Possible tactics to get there: read over your notes every day, do extensive research, pay attention in class, don't be on your phone while the lecturer is trying to present some information. Well, our lecturers hardly present information, but yeah, try not to get distracted, that kind of thing. So those would be your tactics to achieve your broader thing, which is your goal. And then let me try and think about another analogy that we can use. Say you want to start your fitness journey. And this is a very common resolution. At the start of the year, everybody's going to eat healthy. Everybody's going to drink them green juice and them celery and all them fancy stuff. That is the goal. You want to eat healthy. Then you have to think about your tactics. What are my tactics going to be? I don't like cucumber. So how am I going to replace the cucumber, which is very important for my fitness journey? You have to have all of those things planned out. So we're humanities students, something that we all should be doing. We all should be reading ahead, not just reading novels, but reading those books that present you with information for life. So you're going to be doing your research on how you can replace certain things that you don't eat, just to ensure that you achieve this broad goal of attaining a certain level of health and fitness. All right. So you need to have your goal, and you need to also have your tactics nicely written down. Something that is very important is that planning allows you to meet your deadlines quicker, and they allow you to just not be all over the place. When you are learning how to write essays, they tell you to create an essay map. What is the purpose of the map? To ensure that you have all the important points that you wanted to include and that nothing gets left out. So you're not all over the place. You have structure when you're writing an essay. It is the same thing with your goal. Planning allows you to have some kind of structure, and it helps you to know where you're headed. As I said before, it is in the planning aspect that you think about what is it, why do I want it, and how am I going to achieve it. The next thing, and perhaps one of my favorite things to talk about, and I like to tell my students this, and I just like to tell people whenever I'm talking, think about yourself as a bank account. Think about yourself as a bank account. When you put money in that bank account, what happens? It grows naturally. If you're putting money in it, it's going to grow. You put $20 today, well, not 20, like let's say 20,000 today. Next week, you put another 10,000, whatever it is, but you keep on putting money in there, it means that it is growing. So think about yourself as a bank account, and whatever you do, consider it as an investment or not an investment. And as I said before, I'm going to be making some quotations from this book. It says here, a bank account only grows in value when you deposit money into it. You must make that initial deposit. So if you just create the bank account, that's not enough. God already created us. We are the accounts, they're already created. But if you don't put anything to it, it's going to be a null bank account. And for some banks, if you don't have any money into your bank account, you have a negative balance. So every month you get a negative balance is added to it. So think about yourself as that bank account. You don't have anything into it. The bank is withdrawing from it every month because you're below a certain threshold. So the bank is withdrawing from it. What is going to eventually happen is that you're going to be left with nothing because you're not put nothing in there, and the little way in there, the bank will take out every month. That doesn't make any sense. You're not making any investment. You're not growing. So think about yourself as a bank account, one that you want to make very fat. You want that bank account to be heavy, Jada Kingdom heavy. What you have to do is you will have to put into it. You'll have to invest into it. Try to see, how can I better myself in this area? I'm not so good at public speaking. How can I get some help with public speaking? That is you investing in your bank account, and your bank account is you investing in it. I'm not so good at essay writing. Which academic writing session can I go to get some help with writing my essay? All of that is investing in self. All of that is allowing your bank account to grow. And as I said before, the bank account that we're talking about is us. Good. It says the earlier you start to invest in that bank account, the better it is for you. And for some banks, when you have a certain amount of money in your account, interest grows on it. It's pretty much the same with this bank account. The more you add to it, the more you are going to grow as a person. And this is where you're not ordinary anymore. The more you invest in yourself, the better you become, and then you are eventually going to be far from ordinary. Are we following so far? All right, I'm not sure I'm going to get a response, but it's just in me to ensure that people are following what I'm saying. The next thing we're going to be doing, the fourth thing in this category, is we're going to be honest with ourselves. A lot of times we try to lie to ourselves. We make goals that we know deep down in our heart it's not achievable right now. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to know the amount that you have to invest. Let's go back to the bank account analogy. You can't commit to the bank that you are going to be paying $20,000 a month as your savings when you make 10 grand a month. So that is something that is not achievable. You're lying to yourself. Maybe you want to sound big, yeah man, we can invest 20 grand a month. When really and truly you make only 10 grand and you have rent to pay for 5 grand, you have food to buy, whatever it is. When the truth is you can only afford to invest $1,500. So you have to be honest with yourself when you're making these goals. Don't care what people are going to say when you have your thing lying out. No matter who are going to skin up them face, you have to be honest with yourself because at the end of the day, you're accountable to yourself. And as I said, and a very important word I mentioned just now was commitment. If you can't commit to yourself, if you can't commit to investing in yourself, you can't expect other people to commit to investing in you. You have to value yourself enough to be willing to make a deposit. You have to value yourself enough to be willing to keep on adding, to keep on investing. Because remember, after you make that initial deposit, you still need to deposit more. Because if you fall below a certain threshold, the bank is going to withdraw. It is the same thing with life. If you don't have enough, you're going to be left with nothing because as you go, you will lose some or you will use up some. Just like energy. Energy is not stored. You use up energy. Kinetic energy we talk about, even though we're humanities students, we know our science. Yeah, we do. So kinetic energy, you're using that up, you're talking, all of that. You need to keep on replacing it. That's why we need to keep on eating. It's pretty much the same thing with investing yourself. It is something that you need to do continuously. It is also the same thing with motivation. And I always tell people to achieve your goals, you don't even need motivation because the truth is sometimes you will just not be in the mood. Sometimes you just want to lay down and just think and just eat and just be. You will not always be motivated, but what is very, very important to carry you through all of these goals that you're going to set is the D word, discipline. That's all you need. Motivation is not something that you need. Of course, it's very good to have, but discipline is of utmost importance because when motivation fails, it is discipline that will be able to carry you through. When you are setting your goals, there's an acronym I want us to remember, and this is the final thing I'm going to be speaking on. The acronym is SMART. SMART, SMART. When you are setting your goals, make sure that they are SMART goals. The S here stands for specific. Make sure that the goal that you're setting is specific. And when we talk about it being specific, say clearly what it is that you want to accomplish. You're a social media manager, for example. That is what I was at RGR. I was managing social media, and I was a producer as well. I was producing Two Live Crew and Hotline. Hotline is currently hosted by Emily Shields, Orville Taylor. Yeah. And I was also doing Two Live Crew with Daly and the Burgerman. And as a producer, I had to have my own goals because the aim is to have people tuning in. You want them to be watching the program. And as a social media manager, you want the social media platforms to be communicating a certain level of information. You want it to be attractive to people so that they can go on the radio and listen to the program, essentially. So as a SM, I had to have my own goals. What did I want to achieve? I'm not going to just post things. You can't just be posting on the platform. You need to know why are you posting this on the platform and what do you expect to get from this post. So we need to be specific with our goals. So as the social media manager, one of my specific goals may have been to increase the following on the page by, say, 15% every month. That is a specific goal because I have a number there, and it then allows me to measure how far I am. It's trackable. That's what the M stands for, measurable. So you need to have specific, you need to have measurable. The next one that you need to have is achievable or attainable. And this brings us back to the point of being honest with yourself. So I wouldn't set a goal that says to increase the following on the page by 100%. That would be me lying to myself, and that would not have been achievable or attainable. What would have been more achievable and more attainable was what I said earlier, which was increasing the following by 15%. That is specific, that is measurable, and that is attainable. Now the R here stands for relevant. Relevant. With this, you're asking yourself why. Why is this important? Why do we need this? Now, if the page following is increased, what that means is more eyes and more ears for us. More ears watching, more ears listening, sorry. More ears listening to the program on the radio. It means that advertisers are going to want to advertise with us, and then that means more revenue for the company. And that would be my why. Because if you, for the people who study at Karamakar, or just if you know anything about how media works, TVJ, CBM, RJR, Nationwide, all of those stations, they make their money primarily from advertisements, right? So the more eyes you have watching and the more ears you have, is the more likely advertisers are going to want to advertise with you. And so my goal, which was to increase the following, is essentially getting more ears, which will eventually give us more money because advertisers are going to want to advertise with us. And then the T now is time bound. And the time bound is essentially creating deadlines. So I want to have the following on the page increased by 15% by March 31. So this is me starting at March maybe 2nd, and my goal is to have that done by March 31. And that is where the time bound aspect of it comes in, right? So SMART goals, let me just repeat: specific, measurable, achievable or attainable, relevant, and the final one is going to be time bound. Let me quickly go back to my little book here and just read one thing with you, and this is the last thing I'm going to be saying. It says, for financial investments, because remember, we're thinking about ourselves as a bank account. We're thinking about ourselves as an investment account. And the aim of that is to invest in us, the aim of that is to invest in ourselves so that our return will be great. Good? Yeah. So reading from the book again, Bank on Self-Investment, it says, for financial investments, you need to know what you are doing before you invest your money. Yeah. You're not going to just go to the bank and say, see some money or invest it. You want to know where you're investing it. You want to know how you're going to benefit from that investment. It is the same thing. Otherwise, if you don't know why you are investing, you could end up wasting your money without any big payoff. Investing in yourself works predominantly the same way. If you don't devise a clear plan of action and you're unsure of what you're trying to achieve, you're going to just have to rely on luck. And that means, well, anything happen. And I'm sure we don't want to live our lives like that. We want to be strategic and we want to take calculated risks. That brings me to the end of my presentation. And if you have any questions, I'll go ahead and take those now.
Hi, thank you so much for that presentation. It was a beautiful presentation. We have some questions for you.
Okay.
Someone is asking, what would you suggest as the best strategy to managing your time as a student leader and just being a student?
All right. And just before I even answer that question, if you're looking for a politically correct answer, I don't have that, okay? I am known for saying exactly how I feel and exactly how I think. Student leadership is excellent, very good actually. And it is something that I encourage people to do. Managing your time as a student leader and a student, you have to consciously think and be honest with yourself which one is most important. You literally have to ask yourself, which one is most important? Are you more passionate about student leadership? Is that what you need to move on to the next level of your life? Or is it the fact that you're a student working for your degree? Which one is more important to you? And then you can divide your time based on that. That has worked for me in the past. When I was a head girl, I was a student as well. And though I take my job seriously, because anything you do in life, you have to take it seriously. And yeah, so I was a head girl and I was a student as well. My studies were very important to me. I will never drop my studies to go do head girl duties because that was most important to me. And I'm not going to drop head girl duties to go do my studies. And that is where it comes on to creating a balance. Creating a balance. So you have to, if you are like me and you want to write stuff down, you have to do that. Write stuff down. And as a student leader too, you have to learn to delegate. Don't try to do everything by yourself. Don't try to get good name and then you have one aspect of your life suffering. You would have failed as a person if you do that. So you have to decide which is most important. Then you have to form into the habit of delegating. So if you are the, say, you are the humanities representative, even though you are the head of that committee, you don't try and do everything by yourself because you still have your school work. You need to delegate and use up the other members on your committee. And for the people on the committee, for example, like a secretary or so, you form a secretary committee as well and delegate. So you don't have everything to do by yourself because you still need to do your schoolwork, which I believe is what you need to get to the next level of your life. Write down stuff, create a balance, and delegate. If one aspect of your life suffered because you want to maximize on another aspect, you would have failed as a person and you would have failed as a leader.
All right, thank you. We have another question. Do you believe having a mentor, especially in this new normal, is something students should have?
Most definitely. Most definitely. Definitely. And you have quite a few people who are willing to mentor younger students. I know for sure that the Mona Association of Postgraduate Students, for which I'm currently serving as vice president, we facilitate mentorship as well. So if there are undergrad students who need a mentor, they can reach out to us and we can help to align them with somebody who we believe could mentor them. And they have a say to say if they believe that this person should mentor them. But in this time, I said this some time ago in another presentation that some journeys you cannot walk alone, especially in this very difficult new time. You may sometimes just need another pair of eyes. You may probably just need another pair of ears, just somebody to help you, to hold your hand as you walk, somebody who have walked a similar path before, somebody who have been there, done that. Of course, nobody no one has walked COVID path before, but they would have had some experience that you don't have that may be able to shine a little light so that you can see clearer as to where you can walk. So definitely, I support mentorship 110%. And I should also say that you have to be strategic with who you allow to mentor you. So ensure that your values are similar to the values of the person you're selecting to mentor you. So don't choose a mentor because they're famous, or because them have a large following on IG, or because them look nice, or all of those shallow, petty reasons. You have to choose someone who you honestly believe is on a path that you aspire to be on, or someone who's in a field that and doing very well in that field, the field that you want to get into, and of course, someone whose values align with yours.
All right, thank you. Um, what advice would you give to someone who has the potential but may be afraid to take risk in terms of their career?
Okay. You have the potential, but you're afraid to take the risk when it comes down to your career. That's okay if you're afraid. That's okay. I have been afraid many times before I take many leaps, but my fear didn't stop me from taking the leap. The issue is it becomes an issue when you allow that fear to stop you. That's when it becomes an issue. It's totally fine to be afraid. It's totally fine to be fearful. It's totally fine to just not have it all figured out. But if you're sure it is something that you want, do it afraid. It's better to do it afraid than to not do it at all and miss the opportunity of doing something exceptional or being somebody that is not ordinary. Let me give you a quick story. I think, I study journalism, so I like to talk and give stories. But anyway, a quick story. When I was in sixth form, I was selected to enter a competition. I don't know who know of that competition. It's called National Caribbean Child Research Competition. So that competition, as the name suggests, students from other Caribbean countries were entering that competition as well. Now, of course, I was intimidated because I'm like, Trinidad pitted them bright, Belize pitted them bright, Bahamas pitted them bright, all of them bright. And me as a little girl from a non-traditional high school down a country, and them want me enter this competition, yeah? Listen, my ball yeah water because me I say me nah go on a Caribbean stage go flap myself. Me not enter the competition here. No, I'm not gonna do it. I was afraid. I was nervous. I was doubtful. But I had to make a decision to do it afraid. I don't know what could happen. I don't know what opportunities I was going to miss if I didn't do this thing afraid. And I did it afraid, shaking in my boots. And the end result of that is I came out the winner, top to the Caribbean in that research competition. I wasn't the most confident person, but I was willing to do my best and do it afraid. And that's okay.
We have another question. How do you deal with failure, or how do you feel when you have not reached your goal?
Okay, I'm not, as I said before, no political correct answers. I'm not going to tell you that, oh, failure is an opportunity to do this, and I take it with a smile on my face. I do not. Nobody likes to fail. I don't like to fail. When I fail, I feel bad, and that is the truth. When I fail, I feel bad. But are you going to stay feeling bad? That is the question. Are you going to stay feeling bad, or are you going to do something about feeling bad? Another story. I got a grade the other day, I think it was last semester. The grade was 50 something. But in our program, and I think it's the same thing for SciTech, you have to pass coursework and exam. So I got the 50 something and I was like, me, I get 50 something? That was crazy to me. How am I getting 50 something? And it just rested on me. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Like me, I said, oh, I forget 50, I'm stressed out. The 50 had stressed me out. And technically that's a failure because it was an F1 on my thing. And I decided that I'm going to change my approach to the course. I went to the lecturer, all of that, just to find out what did I do wrong and what I could do better. Turns out that I actually did not fail the course. My grade increased to an A. There was some mishap up with the system. But the point of that story is how I felt because I got an F1. I felt like it was the end of my program. I wasn't going to stop though. I was willing to find out how can I make this better? How can I get the A's and stay on a certain path because I like getting good grades. So yeah, me did feel bad. But then I quickly go into problem solving mode. How am I going to make sure this doesn't happen again? How am I going to make sure that my essays are structured properly? How am I going to make sure that my research papers are substantial? So when I fail, I feel bad. I deal with it by stressing out, and that is the truth. But me go stress out and find a solution. You know, I'm not going to stress out and stay stressed out. I'm not going to drop down a ground and stay down there. I'm going to take up by myself and I'm going to go again and figure it out and come back stronger. That's how I deal with it.
Thank you. We have one last question. It's, what advice would you give students right now, just in general?
What advice would I give students right now? The advice I would give to you is stay focused. And I know it's hard to be a student in this time, especially a university student, because to be honest with you, you are not getting the whole university experience. And though Forza Azul is having this beautiful town hall sessions that they have been having, which is excellent, it is not quite the same experience as if we were to have this in the, what do you call it, the assembly hall or one of those places. It's not the same. You don't get to vibes up and have the same kind of university experience and vibe and all of that excitement. You don't have that again. So I know it's difficult, and I'm so sorry you have to be experiencing this. But my advice to you still is to just make the best of what we have. There's nothing we can do right now to change the situation. So you have to say to yourself, how is it that I'm going to just make the best of it? Stay focused. It's easy to get distracted in this time. It's easy to feel like you're not at school because they probably lay down on their comforter, turn on the class, mute a microphone, and you sleep through the whole thing. Stay focused, and sometimes it's pretty hard, I know, but you have to stay focused and make the best of this new normal. Try to champion it. Now is an opportunity, and you know it's an opportunity to get very good grades. Now is an opportunity for everybody and them grandmother for them on the dean's list. Make use of that opportunity. Share resources with each other. You is not giving away 1 degree. Them have 1 million put down for everybody. So don't be afraid to share resources. Don't be afraid to lend a helping hand. Don't be afraid to text your course mate and say, Javier, how are you doing with this particular course? Do you need my help? Do you need me to share this past paper, phone? Let us read through this together. So it's teamwork that's going to make the dream work in this time. UWI has no 1 degree or no 10 degree. Them have 10 million and 10,000. So all of us need to help each other to just navigate through this very difficult time.
Thank you so much. I completely agree with you. We're going to invite Fidelia. Give a vote of thanks.
A very good evening to everyone. It gives me an immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks for this evening's assembly. Firstly, I would like to thank our guest speaker, Kamisha Ellis, who honored us with her inspirational thoughts. I would like to thank our faculty rep, our faculty committee, and last but not least, our beloved audience for making this town hall a success. Once again, I thank you all for your attendance. Thank you.
Thank you, sweetheart. My name is Kamisha Ellis, not Louis. Kamisha Ellis, not Louis, and it's E before I. Thank you guys for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. All right, guys, we're coming to an end, but we have just a few announcements for you. Next week, February 1 to 5, is Humanities and Education Week. We have a week of activities planned for you from Monday straight through to Friday. The schedule will be posted tomorrow. I don't believe we have any other announcements. Celindian, do you have any announcements from the EAC?
Next week coming up, guys, for Humanities Week, the EAC will be doing a donation to the Mary's Child Home, and we'll be posting the stuff that we need and the details for drop off. It will be at Students Union, and we'll give you further details next week and post a list. So just check Instagram next week for the list and details.
All right, thank you, Celindian. I believe we have a giveaway from Martin. All right, thank
Okay,
you
so
guys so
oh,
much.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
So this one can only be for the people who live in St. Catherine and Kingston. Now, in the introduction, I stated the high school that the speaker went to, Miss Ellis. If anyone can tell me which high school the speaker went to, you will be receiving a choco cup from Chocolate. Just one person. I don't think I can say that name properly. Is it spelling off? What school is that? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Celine, you want to try again?
We have a winner in we have a
Okay.
winner on YouTube, in the YouTube chat.
Yes, and you
Is it
can.
the high school?
Yes, yes, and you can
All
send
right. So
over
the
her
winner of that
information.
giveaway is Peter White.
Congratulations.
PTA White, please contact us on Instagram to collect your giveaway. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, guys. We'll see you in Humanities Week, a week full of activities. All right, that's me. I'm Nicaragua Publications Committee Chairman. Thank you for joining us.